Hello, I'm so happy to be here with you today on Green Week. Would prefer to be with you in person, but I'm also happy that our organizers are powering through and continuing our green collaboration. I'm going to talk to you today for about 10 minutes on the Ashoken Rail Trail, which is located in Ulster County near Kingston, New York, and a project that I've worked on over the last couple of years on creating a new rail trail on the New York City water supply lands. I'm going to be doing this presentation, as you can see, from home. Been working, I still work at DEP, so we've been super busy with dealing with this pandemic. So my presentation is not quite what I was hoping for, but I do hope that you'll be able to be interested enough to come visit or to stay tuned for another presentation at some point in the future. I'm Ira Stern. I teach in the Graduate Center for Planning and the Environment. I'm also a Pratt graduate. This semester, I'm teaching the capstone class for the Sustainable Environmental Systems master's degree, and I'm also teaching sustainability indicators in the fall. I teach a 3-credit class on watershed planning. So this project is something that I've worked on as a principal accountable manager for the creation of this rail trail, and I'm just going to run you through some of its salient points, and hopefully we can follow up in the future. So the Ashoken Reservoir is one of New York City's most important reservoirs. It's a terminal reservoir, which means that water from Ashoken Reservoir goes directly into distribution after it's disinfected with chlorine and ultraviolet light. So protecting the water supply is critical, and the context of the Ashoken Reservoir, like many of the reservoirs in New York City, is that it was created through condemnation of lands, farmlands, communities were all displaced by the reservoir around the turn of the century, 1915. And the train, as you can imagine at that time, was the lifeblood for this valley in the Esopus Creek watershed. And the train that went through this valley principally served as bringing visitors from New York City up to the Catskills for some fresh air and for produce and other natural products to be shipped to New York City. The rail line and the freight rail in general declined, in the 50s and 60s as the national highway network was developed. Ulster County obtained the rail easement that ran along the Ashoken Reservoir in the 1970s after Conrail went bankrupt. And despite their best efforts to reinvigorate the corridor, principally through tourism and trains, and specifically, the corridor has declined in its conditions over the years. And so I'm going to also talk about the cooperative agreement that led to the trail in 2013 and the opening of the trail in 2019. In 2013, New York City was approached by the Ulster County Executive, as I mentioned, the owner of the rail easement, and wanting to convert the rail line to a trail. And despite a lease for that corridor to a local train enthusiast group, the county executive decided that a trail would be more beneficial to county residents for economic development and health. And so they really wanted to try to see if they could use the dilapidated rail easement for a trail. There were complications because Ulster's easement was only for rail use. So the question became, should they litigate and try to use a federal procedure to convert trails from rails, or was there a way to cooperate with New York City? So New York City decided to cooperate, and we began to dissect the legal issues involved in creating a trail. So, as I mentioned, the rail line is on the northern shore of the Ashoken Reservoir. I'll show you a map in a minute. Um, and the rail easement was filed in 1911. So we had a old document, excellent legal easement to work on. And we decided to take the rail easement and convert it to a trail easement, which gave New York City some control on the conditions, on how it gets used and how it's maintained and what could happen in the future. So New York City decided to collaborate and cooperate so that we could make sure that we had the best design and the best use and management of the area. So that meant that we needed an agreement in principle with Ulster County. What is this trail going to be? How big is it? Who's going to use it and for what? To an intergovernmental agreement, which is a contract between the city and the county, which specified a process, a design process, and a management process, and also enabled New York City to contribute um, up to $2 million for trail improvements, which we felt was a really good investment and to help the county do some good green infrastructure work. So with all of these documents, including a new trail easement, we entered into a perpetual partnership. So the location of the reservoir is in Ulster County. Um, the southern part is near Kingston, about 4 miles from the Kingston Thruway exit, and it runs all the way to Boyceville, New York, on the northern end. The reservoir, I'm sorry, it looks like it's hidden there. Ashoken Reservoir is 100 billion gallons. And think about about a billion gallons used every day. It's 11.5 miles long. And we agreed, the city agreed, that hiking, biking, walking is permissible on the trail without a permit, and that the lands around the reservoir would continue to be used for hunting and fishing with a permit, and that the city would build 3 trailheads on the southern, the middle, and the northern end of the trail, and that would be the access to the trail. So we had a number of design considerations. On the one hand, we knew that the corridor along the reservoir needed to be improved. There were a lot of washouts, collapsed culverts. We had erosion. We had rail and ties with creosote in them. We also had a collapsed bridge over the Esopus Creek that happened around Hurricane Irene. And so we felt like that the trail construction would improve these conditions. And then we also knew that it was important to manage the use impacts of more public use of the Ashoken shoreline. So we committed to build and own the trailheads. We agreed to no permits needed, but also that there would be no motorized vehicles. It was also important that hunting and fishing continue, which is traditional uses important to the local community, and hunting is important for water quality management. So those 2 uses would continue. And it was important to New York City that if this recreational facility was going to be built, that Ulster County be responsible for building it, operating it, and maintaining it, and to bring in local stewards to take care of it over time. There are a number of green features in the trail design that includes green infrastructure like rain gardens and bioswales at the trailheads, and as well as native plantings. We protected lots of wetland areas either through boardwalks over wetlands or diversions of the trail to go around wetlands. The views, as you can see in the bottom images, are beautiful, and Ulster County's done a great job with interpretive signage, which raises awareness and stewardship. And DEP manages extensive forest lands along the trail. Trees are amazing, and those are specifically managed for water quality improvements. We also have incorporated stormwater management, including daylighting a trout stream called Butternut Creek. And with opening the canopy on the trail, we know the sun is going to shine, and there'll be more light for invasive species to take hold. So the status of this trail is it opened in the fall of 2019. It's turned out to be incredibly popular, and dogs are allowed. However, you must pick up after your dog, and it is a carry in, carry out area, meaning there are no trash cans. Whatever trash you bring in, you must bring it out, and we're hoping that that is going to keep litter down. So the soft opening in the fall has been going quite well. It's been very crowded. Sometimes the parking lots are full on the weekends. So we don't really know what to expect in the summertime. We could have overuse. We may have to manage that. COVID-19, unfortunately, has created issues in this park, as we've seen in other parks across the world. So we need to make sure that people are social distancing and picking up after their dogs. Dogs are an experiment, really. Everyone wants to be able to accommodate dogs, and it's really just up to dog owners whether they can keep them on a leash and clean up after them. And if that works out great, then dogs are welcome. There's also been a volunteer stewardship group that patrols the trail and also enforces some of the rules. So our next horizons on this trail are that taking care of it is the most important thing. The future stewardship. Will the users be able to stay on the trail, stay out of the water, swimming? Can we make sure that littering and dog management is appropriate? The trail offers amazing views, an amazing opportunity to connect with your water supply. And I hope that you'll take the time to go to the AshokenRailTrail.com website and come visit for yourself. Enjoy, be healthy, and thank you so much for checking in with me. Take care.